Hello, my name is Hakon, and welcome back to my channel, all you fabulous fighting fantasy aficionados, friends, family, and other random passers-by who may be happening upon this channel to see this particular video right this very moment as you are watching it. Today we are playing Phantoms of Fear for the second time, installment number 28 in the Fighting Fantasy Original series. And this is the second to last, and also actually was the second book that I bought brand new in the bookshop when it was published. Not this particular one here. This one I bought again, of course, because I sold all my books back in the early 90s as well. But this was one book that I never got into back in the 80s, and the reason is that the writing style of this book is a lot more sophisticated than the other ones in the series that I've read. It is better written when it comes to the language style, and that made it a little bit complex for me to read as a 13-year-old at the time, only having had English in school for 3 years, as well as picking up a little bit from other fighting fantasy books, from watching TV, etc., etc. And so I never got into it back in the day. There were just too many things I didn't quite get. So I'm quite enjoying it now, though, because obviously now I'm a little bit more into my literature, having studied literature and English at university level, etc., etc., and read, well, hundreds of books in English. Hundreds, yeah, probably hundreds. I wouldn't want to sit down and try to count at any point, but I have read hundreds of books in English. So, ooh, got my cup of tea, of course. Which means I am ready to save the world. So, since it has been so long since my last episode, has it been 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks now? I'm not sure. I've been a little bit unwell for a few weeks. That sort of prevented me from keeping the ball rolling, as it were. And then I got into doing a permanent music setup, which you can see a little bit of over here. Because the thing is, as you may know if you follow my channel, one of my other main hobbies is to play electronic experimental music, and one of the things that have prevented me from doing that more often than I want to is the fact that I didn't have a permanent location in my room, which is really tiny, for a permanent setup. But I realized one day that I actually did have room for it with a bit of jigging around. So I've got a standing desk next to my sitting desk now, and I've got all my supplies, as it were, on that table for making music. So that makes it easier for me to juggle between different hobbies, and also it makes it easier for me to have a big full setup of my music making, noise making devices, allowing me to make more noise and music, depending on how you look at it. Both the same thing, really. But right, so let's just get started again on Phantoms of Fear. Let's just get started. Right, here we are on my desk. I've got my supplies for playing game books down here, not for making music. So I've got my map, character sheet from last time. If I will continue to use it, I probably will continue to use it. It's easier. I got my dice, pen, and pencil all in one, which I still think is really cool, by the way. That they had a pen that was exactly, I mean, this not just the combination of colors, but this is also exactly the brand of pen that I would normally be using, not for the pencil, but for the pens. Pencil not as crucial, I think, but it seems perfectly fine. And I got my book, and most importantly, of course, when it comes to saving the world, as you know, what you need most is a cup of tea, Earl Grey and hot. Coming soon to a replicator near you. Okay, so let's just get started, see what this is about. So in Phantoms of Fear, you are an elf, so this is a slightly different one. So it's a kind of in one way, it's a kind of a continuation of the background story that you got into in Masks of Mayhem, when you're in Affen Forest and you meet the elves. And in this one, you are one of the elves. And this is actually based on a little bit of world building, which is quite a nice way of doing it. So actually, this is a sequel. It's based on a world building concept of how the elves are into their dream control is one of the concepts that is used in this book. And it allows you to do things in the dream world as well as in the real world. And of course, you have to keep those two things apart, because you can actually get into a kind of physical damage as well from being hurt in dreams, or sort of mental damage, I suppose. Well, certainly you would become more timid afterwards. I'll just go through I'll just read the background, so we just get into this this story. You wake up suddenly, shivering despite the warm midsummer night air. You are grateful to see the familiar walls and trappings of your hut. You know that you are secure, surrounded by the rest of your tribe and deep in Affan Forest. The dream from which you awoke momentarily escapes you. What was it? Then memory floods in on you. It was a dream of ordinary everyday life in your village. Elves were out hunting, tilling the ground, collecting roots for medicine and food, cooking and repairing huts. You could not see yourself in the dream, but you were surveying the scene. Suddenly a voice spoke, a voice which simultaneously made everyone look up from their work and frightened you. It took you a moment to realize why it filled you with fear. It was your own voice. But what words are these you are speaking? I must leave you for a while, you said to your fellow elves. May the gods of the forest protect you all while I am gone. The demon prince Ishtra is just beginning to gather a vast force of damned, chaotic, and evil creatures beneath our forest. He plans to overrun the entire world, starting with the wood elves. His rule over his army is so cruel that even his foul minions would rebel if they could. But Ishtra holds them in his sway by magical power. Thus he must be overcome. If his sway is broken, his army will have no organization and power. They will be reduced to civil war between themselves. His army is not yet large, so I must go now to face him, while there is still a chance of penetrating his defenses. May I fare well, and fare you all well until I return, if I return. Otherwise, we will meet again in Tir Nanog, the island realm of the Son of the Sea, the land of youth, where all must go when their time comes. At this point you woke up. You now take stock of the dream. You know full well that it is a message from your gods, yet never before have they chosen to communicate by having you speak their words. You realize that this must be their way of impressing upon you both the urgency of the task and the fact that you and only you have been chosen for the mission. But the idea terrifies you. As a demon prince, Ishtar cannot be killed by any weapon of any earthly race. Even the most magical sword of the high elves would not strike him down. So what can your lesser powers do against him? Nevertheless, you have been commanded to go, and you put your faith in the gods. They would not so command you if there was no hope. Wow. You decide to go back to sleep to see if you can dream a dream which will give you more information about the noble and awesome task facing you. Turn to 1. So it starts with a dream, and of course then you go into a dream again, and this is going to be quite a big part of the way this works now. So just to go through my character, I'm just going to use the one I made before. So I got skill 12, stamina 17, I've got a luck of 9, a power of 19, and power is a special ability in this particular game book, which has to do with how suited you are to resisting, for instance, the magical influence of the demon prince Ishtra. And if something happens in a dream that distresses you or makes you lose confidence, etc., those are things that can permanently affect your power. Right. I also see I brought with me a potion of fortune because my luck wasn't that good, and yeah, another stone too. remove the boar tusks because I don't have those. Okay, so let's just get started. And on my map, I'm going to try to, of course, make sure that I keep dreams and real life distinct. Now, there's one thing about dreams, of course, is that you, in dreams, yeah, oh, that's another thing, actually. You can also cast spells, and of course, that costs power as well. In dreams, you cannot use magic. You don't need to use magic in dreams because technically the dream is a figment of your own imagination, and so you are already in full magical control of them, as it were. And trying to use real magic in a dream is something that can, I'm not sure exactly what happens actually, but it's not a good thing. You're not supposed to do it. In your dream, you walk through Affan Forest, yet it is both familiar and unfamiliar. Are we in focus, by the way, just to double check that? Yeah, that looks all right. The trees seem more alive, even more than they normally appear to your trained wood elf senses. The tiny noises of the twigs and shrubs seem magnified. A vivid force plays over the surface of the trunks, being sustained by the vibrant, slow earth below and spreading to the smallest shoot on the topmost branch. Even while you dream, you are aware that this is a vision of the life force, which your people call Maella. It gives all things life, and a minute fragment of it is your power to dream and to make magic. You do not recognize the particular part of the forest you're in. Perhaps it exists only in your dream, but perhaps it has a real counterpart. Affan Forest is vast, but only a small remnant of the one forest of old when the three continents of Titan were unified. And that is the sound, if you can hear that, of our washing machine being done. So that means I probably will have a little break to go and sort out the laundry. Sorry about that, but sorry in advance. In your dream, branches bend down from the trees and usher you onwards along a trail which opens up in front of you. You are content to be following the trail, but you also detect urgency in the prodding of the branches. Where are the trees leading you? As soon as the question is formed in your mind, it is answered. The trees stop pushing you onwards, and you find yourself at the meeting of three ways. One way is the trail you have been following. The other two extend in different directions, forking like the angle of a serpent's tongue. The trees have stopped urging you, so this is where they were guiding you. In your dream, you know that the crossroads is more than just the meeting of three ways. The path behind you symbolizes your past life, and now, with your heart beating fast and with your mind strangely calm, you have a choice of two ways onward. But where do they lead? At the moment, they both look like greensward tracks through a still forest. Then you notice for the first time it has only just appeared. A statue standing on the exact spot where the three ways meet. She is a beautiful goddess, but in human form, and you know neither her name nor her function. She is completely impassive. Her arms are folded across her chest, and billowing robes shroud her body. Though made of stone, her eyes seem to bore into your mind and read your thoughts. Your thoughts, of course, are which way you should turn at this junction. The statue's arms unfold, and a small black dog, which she was cradling in her arms and had been hidden among her full sleeves, leaps down and runs yelping past you and away through the trees behind you. But you know that, whatever the meaning of this, the dog is not showing you your path, and you remain watching the statue. Her arms continue to unfold so slowly that it seems to take eternity. And meanwhile, her robes take on the glow of a pale but brilliant blue, and her face unlocks gently into an enigmatic smile. Finally, her arms are simply pointing down each of the routes between which you have to choose. You look first down the one to your left. Instead of the plain forest path, lacking significant features which you had seen before, there is now a highway that seems contrary even to your dream expectations, to open up the more distant it gets. The end, if there is an end, is indefinite, but such a sense of health and well-being issues from it that your heart is warmed, and the trees, as they recede into the distance, lose many of their tree-like features, but take on the essence of vitality. Down the other path, however, the trees and woodland shrubs become more and more grotesque, until they are empty shells, not truly alive, but sustained by some fell force which exudes such a malignant power that your nostrils are assailed by the rotten odor of it. And as soon as your mind registers the full horror of the putrescence in your dreams, you see its source. A wide area of the forest has collapsed into a pit, whose bottom you cannot see, but whatever is there deep underground is causing the blight of the forest, your forest. You now see that the statue bears in either hand duplicates of your trusty sword, Telessa. The beautiful goddess fades into invisibility, leaving a last glimpse of her enigmatic smile, and letting the two swords fall to stick quivering in the turf. Will you take up the one to your left and proceed towards the hearth and health of the forest, or will you take the one to the right and investigate what is causing your precious forest to suffer? So that is quite a long narrative for what in many other books, let's say in a sort of Ian Livingstone book, you dream, you walk into the forest. It seems familiar, but it's not a specific place you know. You come to a junction. There is a statue there of a goddess, and it seems you have to choose two paths. One looks very nice. The other one looks a bit dreary and bleak, which might have something to do with the blight of the forest. Which path will you choose? In this one, that is a full 3.5 pages of a lot more stuff. Not all of it needed, of course, for the narrative, to be perfectly honest, but it's nicely written and good use of dashes as well, which is something I like doing as well when I'm writing my long sentences. So yeah, it's good. Now, last time I turned right, I turned towards the area of blight to find out what I was up against. I sort of know what I'm up against. I'm up against the demon prince Ishtar. I suppose I don't need confirmation about that. It did not seem to give me any advantages to have done that, to have gone towards the blighted area. So this time I'm going to try to go the other way. So my thought last time was that going to the blighted area would give me information that I might need later. But then again, going to the bright, healthy area might actually give me some benefits, some motivation, some more tangible thing that will give me a bonus for something. I don't know, something like that. That's my thought. So this time I'm definitely going to go to the left to see what the nice area has to offer. But before that, I will do my laundry. So if you'll excuse me for a moment, I'm going to just leave my book here and just focus on that and take a little sip of tea. And then I will be back in a moment. Right, I'm back. Okay, so I have to make a choice between which of these nice paths to take, or one not so nice path and one nice path. So I'm going to go left, 306. 306. Got a bit darker outside suddenly, but I think we've got plenty of light still. So yeah, my camera is very flexible when it comes to this sort of thing. So not too bothered. Even though you're already dreaming, your journey along this path seems dreamlike. But it is the smooth gliding motion of your body which gives this impression, not any dullness of your senses. On the contrary, the further you go along this path, the more alert you become and the more aware of every color, smell, and noise, of the springy feel of the turf beneath your light elf feet, and even of a gradually increasing richness of atmosphere. Telessa gleams in your hand and seems to reflect an unknown source of light. The end of this journey comes unexpectedly. You are passing through a clearing when your feet simply refuse to go any further. You look around, Evergreen trees surround the clearing and tower to the sky. As you watch, their tops bend over and form a dark canopy over your head. Then you notice 6 white elder trees in the middle of the clearing, and you know that you must stand in the center of the ring they form. As soon as you do so, a voice speaks. Is it from the trees, the air, or merely inside your mind? It is impossible to tell, but the voice, though quiet, is crystal clear because there is utter calm, as if you and everything around you were holding its breath. Eldenurin, save the forest. You have seen and smelled the suffering it is enduring, yet this is only the smallest fraction of what it and the whole world will suffer if the evil underground is released. Prepare yourself if you will undertake this burden, for now I tell you this. Remember this sacred spot. Gain 1 power point. You now awaken from the dream. Okay, so this is the best path to take in that case, because in this one you gain 1 power point, which has nothing to do with presentations, by the way, in this game. This was written before PowerPoint was actually a thing. So my power is now 20. And the thing about power is, of course, it can go up as well. It doesn't have a maximum limit. So unlike the other stats. And then I'm just going to do a little mark here to show that that seems to be the correct way to go. And it says remember this spot, so that means that's some kind of clue for later as well that will become relevant, presumably, in some choice you will have later. And that also indicates to me that I will come to the same spot again in real life. And again, I should walk in there and go in between the trees. And of course, I will not be given that option for free that time. I will actually be asked, do you want to go stand between the trees, or do you want to do something else? And then you will have to make the right choice. So that's good. That's good. I like that sort of thing. Those little clues and hints to future events and future choices, indeed. 380. Okay, so that is 380. When you are fully awake, you know that you know what you must do. Somewhere in the forest is an area of foul blight, which marks the entrance to Ishtra's underground stronghold. You must find it. Enter the pit. Seek out Ishtra and do battle with him. This will be an immense task, a quest which, whether you succeed or fail, the wood elves will sing about as long as they have voices to sing, which won't be very long if you fail, to be honest. It is a particularly daring undertaking for a wood elf, for your kind do not normally stray more than half a day's journey from home. Only half a day? I thought that was hobbits that didn't stray more than half a day's journey from home. Whereas wood elves, you would think, if you're a wood elf and you're used to living in a forest that is really big, you would stray. You would walk. You would be through the entire forest. You would spend weeks and weeks just ranging around and coming back to, if you go hunting, things like that, exploring, and just to see what resources you have available. It does not make any sense why a wood elf would only stay within half a day's journey from home. That's something that you would do if you are really, really, really content in your life and you were a farmer. So, hobbit, yeah. You call a council of the tribal elders and explain your task. They protest that the mission is impossible, but you do not allow such doubts to enter your mind. You tell them that you must go, and you make arrangements for the protection of the tribe during your absence. After embracing your closest friends, and many seem to be such friends under these circumstances, you prepare to leave. All you need is your sword, Telessa, and a backpack. You do not take any provisions because, well, as a wood elf, you are confident of finding enough to eat as long as you are in the forest. Seems a bit of hubris, doesn't it, to think that, oh, yeah, well, I'm a wood elf. Nature will provide. Yeah. What could possibly go wrong? Which way should you go? Lake Nekros lies not far to the east, so you must choose between heading roughly north, south, or west. Now, last time I went roughly west. I know that at some point during that journey, I got to a point that I definitely will have to find myself sooner or later, but I don't know if that's the ideal way. The only thing I found on the way, I did find boar tusks, didn't I? I fought a boar and I got boar tusks. I don't know if that's something I will need. So I'm going to choose a different path this time because just to see what else is there. So I'm going to go with north this time, 88. Without a backward glance, you set off north. There are few true paths this deep in the forest, but even when the sun is not visible, there are plenty of signs to show a wood elf which way is which. Although you often have to digress to avoid some obstacle or other. See, again, this doesn't make any sense. Why, if you only used to going half a day's march away from your home and then go back again, you wouldn't need all these skills of finding your direction so much, because I mean, you'd be so close to home, you would know all the landmarks, because you wouldn't stray half a day's journey away from your home the first time you leave home. You would go like 100 meters and then you come back again, and you would know your territory intimately within that distance. And the same would be true of everything else. You would recognize the trees, the rocks, the paths, everything. There would be nothing. And of course, if everyone strayed just half a day's walk away from your camp, there would be paths everywhere going in each direction. You just follow the path. So you would lose your tracking skills, really. You would lose your sense of direction because you wouldn't need it. So that's one thing that is a logical flaw in this book, actually. I like finding logical flaws. Sorry about that. Yes. Even when the sun is not visible, it says, yeah, there are plenty of signs to show a wood elf which way is which, although you often have to digress to avoid some obstacle or other. You keep to a generally northerly direction. After half a day's journeying, it is time to rest and eat. You look for berries while you continue walking, but there are not many. The presence of more light off to your left tells you that there is a glade there, and you think that it may have shrubs such as bilberry growing in it. Will you turn left towards the glade or carry on northwards? So, two options. Let's put those there. So we've got 4 north or 141, which is glade. I'm going to check out the glade. Sure enough, there are bilberries in the glade. You also find edible toadstools, wild parsnips, and a fern called skunk bear's tongue, which elves value as both nutritious and refreshing. There's only just enough food to make a single meal for you, however. It seems that animals have already removed much of it, more than they could eat, you think. Well, that depends on the number of animals. It looks as though they have been storing food, which is unusual for this time of year. Well, that is interesting, and of course that makes sense with the story, doesn't it? It occurs to you that they probably know instinctively that some peril is nearby and are preparing for it. After your meal, you decide to rest against a log. Will you stay awake or let yourself drift into the dream world? So, I'm going to move my options up there in case I need more space for something else on my map. So we've got 363, awake, 203. Okay, I'm going to dream, obviously. That sounds more exciting. I was a bit curious to see what happens in the next dream. Of course, dream. I'm trying to keep on my map now just to distinguish between them. I'm doing my awake in black and my dreams in blue. There we are. In your dream, you visit an unfamiliar place. There is a sandy arena. Arena literally means sand, so it's a sandy area. Spotted with blood, in which two heroes are battling to the death. The crowd roars its appreciation, and the whole show is overseen by a cruel-looking man dressed in rich clothes. The appearance of these humans and humanoids is strange to you. You hear the richly garbed man speak to his neighbor. Whoever survives the arena of death will be my champion. I'll have the last laugh at that brother of mine. You wonder what this means. Is it an illusion or a vision of a distant land? That's Trial of Champions, isn't it? It is Trial of Champions. Because it was a brother of Baron Sukhumvit, wasn't it, who hosted the arena, the gladiatorial arena fights in Trial of Champions to find a champion to fight against, to go into the maze in the Trial of Champions, and so he could just rub it in his brother's face, basically. The harsh sun which bakes the dream arena is suddenly blotted out by a vast dragon, but this is merely the reflection in your dream of the shadow cast by the giant bloodhawk, which is swooping down on your sleeping body. Oh joy. The pain of its talons ripping your thigh jerks you back to wakefulness. Well, I would hope so. Deduct 1 skill and 2 stamina points. Ouch. That hurts. Okay. So 11 skill and 15 stamina. Yeah. By the time you have drawn your sword, it is swooping down on you again. You have no time to cast a spell. Turn to 29 to fight the monster. So it sounds like going to sleep here is a terrible, terrible idea. So I'm going to put red around that. There's no way that is an advantage. So skill -1, stamina -2. And then we go to 29, which I'm sure you get to. That should be black now, to show that we are not most definitely, unfortunately, not dreaming as we fight the Bloodhawk. Even while you are steadying yourself to meet the Bloodhawk's diving attack, the thought passes through your mind that it is far from its usual open habitat. Could it be a spy sent by Ishtar? Why would a spy attack you? And it's not a spy anymore, then he's an assassin, isn't he? If a spy is actually spying, as spies do, that's why they call them spies, they are looking and observing, they are not trying to assassinate you. Then they are no longer a spy, but an assassin, yes. So Giant Bloodhawk, skill 7, stamina 12. So 7, 12. If you win, you leave the clearing and continue north. Okay, fair enough. So 7, 12, 7, 12. That is quite a formidable opponent, actually. So at the moment, I have 11, 15, and he's got 7, 12. I've got a 4 skill point advantage. He rolls 4, I roll 5. 8, 6. Yep. 9, 3. Okay, so he hits me then. 8, 6. 8, 6. 5, 10, and finally, perhaps, 7 and 6. So he is dead. Okay. And that is a very nice illustration there, by the way. Not to do with this paragraph, I guess. If you win, leave the clearing and continue north, turn to 332. So we have, let's put that there actually, 332. 332. As you proceed northwards, you see more and more evidence that the woodland creatures are preparing for Ishtar's imminent invasion. It is not just that they have been gathering much of the available food. You also notice that their behavior patterns are different. There are fewer animals than usual, as if many have already fled. And shouldn't there be more food left, though? Because that's the natural reaction to animals to a threat like this wouldn't be to gather food. That's how you prepare for winter. No, you would escape. You would try to find somewhere else to live. So yeah. Normally timid creatures snarl at you from bushes. Birds twitter in fright from the topmost branches. Indeed. You begin to regret not bringing any provisions from home. Yeah, there you go, hubris. Especially since it is likely that the closer you get to Ishtar's pit, the more the forest animals will have eaten or gathered the available food. And why am I getting sniffly? I don't know. Okay. You always knew that you would need to carry food when you were underground, but it now seems sensible to take time to gather provisions for your whole journey, both overground and underground. The next stage of your northward journey will be found by turning to 347. Before you turn there, however, remember that paragraph number and turn to 50. So this is similar to what happened when I went the other direction, when I was given a sort of a... So it's using the same gathering algorithm, as it were. Even though I'm going in a different journey. That explains it, why, actually, because I was wondering why that was, because it's quite a peculiar choice. It seemed a very peculiar choice at the time, but now it makes sense if you also use that for this direction as well. So, I'm going to put 50 there again, and then 347. Okay. So I'm going to 50. As you search for provisions, you may well have to fight some forest creature, either because you try to deprive it of some food or simply because it is aggressive. Roll 1 die to find out what creature, if any, you fight. And I roll a 2, which is a wolf. Skill 7, stamina 6. So I've got, so 8, 7, 9, 11, and 8, 5. That's it. If you do not have to fight any opponent, or when you have 1, roll 2 dice. Okay. 4. That's not very good. Provisions. 4. Okay. This is the total number of meals worth of provisions you are able to find. Okay. Then turn to the paragraph whose number you were instructed to remember. So, 347. The route you are following takes you past a death dripper. The sensitive roots of this tall tree-like plant detect the vibrations caused by any creature's footsteps, and the plant immediately drips fast-acting poison from its sickly yellow flowers. Test your luck. 2. Extremely lucky this time. Luck goes down to 8. Okay, if you are lucky, if you are unlucky. Okay, so 2, 3, 2, lucky, and 1, 9, 4. So lucky, 1, lucky. 2, 3, 2. The poison fails to make contact with your skin, but some may have entered your backpack. Test your luck again. Yeah. You're losing 2 luck points just like that. That's a bit rubbish, isn't it? If you're unlucky, 2 lots of provisions have been ruined. If you are lucky, you suffer no loss. Whatever the outcome, you must now decide whether to continue north or veer somewhat to the west. Right. So far, it doesn't look like going north has been a good thing at all, but I'm going to give it a second chance by continuing north. So, I'm going to go 15. Before long, you arrive at the bank of a creek, which is flowing east in the direction of Lake Nicholas. The creek is not too wide, and you can see the stony bottom, so it seems fordable. The water would come up to your chest at the most. Will you wade through the water to continue north, or follow the creek upstream to the west? Again, they're trying to direct you westwards here. Oh, hang on, I forgot to put in the other option in the other paragraph there. Hang on. So there's 51 as well. 51 west, north. Okay. So again, you're given the option of heading more westerly or 268. It really sounds like he's hinting that you're supposed to go west. I'm going to continue north now because I'm a bit curious what there is to find north. When you're about halfway across the creek, you have one of the most ghastly experiences of your life. You feel something cold slithering inside your clothing and fastening itself to your stomach. You involuntarily scream in horror, and your fear is increased by not having the faintest idea what manner of creature has attached itself to you. The time it takes you to wade to the north side of the creek, since there is little you can do when impeded by the water and you want to get out, seems to take forever. As soon as you reach the bank, you rip open your shirt and see not one but several Coolian lampreys clinging with their suckers onto your flesh. These carnivorous creatures live both in water and on land. Now that the initial shock is over, you can feel the pain as the concerted effort of all their powerful suckers begin to tear your flesh. You must act quickly. You have already lost 2 stamina points. Okay, so we got minus 2 stamina. Your only chance is to cast a weaken spell, and you will then be able to pluck them from your body. Once you have done this, remember to deduct 1 power point, turn to 214. So minus 1 power as well. And 1 stamina down. Okay. Turn to 214. So far, there's absolutely no indication that going north is a good thing. We'll see. Night is drawing in, and after your recent horrific experience, you feel like resting anyway. You may camp in the boughs of an ancient tree, since you feel safer off the ground, away from marauding creatures of the night. Oh, what about the bloodhawks? They're not a night creature, are they? With your mind firmly set on your quest, what about blood owls? Or blood bats, aka vampire bats. With your mind firmly set on your quest and praying to your gods for guidance, you allow yourself to settle into a deep dreaming state. All at once, you find yourself on a vast open plain, and you know in your dream that it has taken you measureless years to reach this spot. The terrain is desert and stretches without features to the horizon in all directions. Will you wait to see what happens or start walking? So this is 214. Okay, so. And that's turning blue now because it's a dream. 214. Okay. Wait to see what happens or start walking. I'm going to wait to see what happens. I think. 1, 2, 0, 3, 2, 9. So wait or walk. For a while, nothing happens. Then you see the most bizarre and unrealistic series of images. You are standing in the middle of a sort of ravine whose sides are made out of, well, you suppose they are buildings of some sort, since many weirdly dressed humans are coming and going through the doors. But you cannot even begin to guess what stone the buildings are made of. They are filled with unnatural lights as well, but the worst thing is that they tower to the sky and threaten to fall on everyone's heads. Okay. You shout to the strange people to run, but it soon becomes clear that they can neither see nor hear you. You can see, but cannot hear. You are surrounded by rush, but it all takes place in eerie silence. Then a new horror becomes apparent. The smooth path you are standing on is suddenly filled by dozens of monsters. They're made of metal and glass, it seems, and move at a terrifying speed. Each of them has at least one of the humans in it. Ah, well, you're in New York City, aren't you? and you're just seeing cars and skyscrapers. Each of them has at least one of the humans in it, who are obviously prisoners and often have grim, tortured expressions on their faces. You wake up from this nightmare. You can bear no more of it. Is this some other world altogether, or is this to be the future of Titan? Is the Earth to be controlled by metal monsters, with humans for slaves, and where were elves, dwarves, and other races? You find tears springing to your eyes in fear for your race, for you know that no elf could live in such a place. But now you are awake. You must get on with your mission. A bit of social commentary there. I wasn't expecting that. And of course, this is completely irrelevant to the story as well. Turn to 169. So that's just flavor, I guess. Okay. You take stock of your situation. When you think back over the last part of yesterday, it occurs to you that you noticed no increase in the strange behavior of the forest animals while you traveled north. This makes you think that while you may be no further away from Ishtar's pit, which is causing their disturbance, you are probably no closer either. Lake Necros still lies to the east, so you must choose between heading west or southwest. Okay. Excuse me. So now it's really clear that you definitely need to turn west. And that is where you are supposed to be going. So west or southwest. So I wonder if I'll sort of get onto the western path here at some point as well now. Let's go southwest, because that should theoretically get me into the sort of the other branch that I've been before faster than if I go just west. So I'm gonna I'm gonna go southwest. So west or southwest. So I'm gonna go just put those in there. 366 southwest or 10 west. Okay, so southwest 366. When you head southwest, you expect that you will soon come across the creek again. In fact, however, you do not come across the creek, but rather its source, a vast boggy area where many springs well up from underground. If you are to continue southwest, you will have to pass through the marsh. You reckon you could do so, at any rate with the help of a spell or two. Alternatively, you could avoid the boggy area and simply head west. If you go southwest, turn to 322. If you go west, turn to 10. Okay, so it's trying to dissuade me from going through the bog, I suppose, by telling me that I need to use spells, which means I need to lose power, which means it's a bit risky. That sounds like fun, doesn't it? Let's try that. I want to find out what's happening in the boggy area. Excuse me. So I'm going to go 322. Let's see, so 322. 322. Spring on the bogs. Okay. You could cross the marsh safely by using several levitation spells, but you don't want to drain too much of your power, so you travel as much as you can by foot. In fact, it takes a finding spell and a levitation spell to cross the marsh safely. Deduct 2 power points. Let's see, 2 power points down to 17 now. It also takes the best part of a day, since you often have to backtrack to find the best route. Once you're out of the boggy area, you decide to turn west, but you travel for only another half hour before the deepening dusk persuades you to make camp for the night. You could sleep in the hollow under the roots of a fallen tree. Now, is this somewhere I've been before? I'm just wondering now. Or you could climb up another vast tree and camp in the branches. So 133 or 335. I'm just seeing if I have any of these numbers on my map already. Doesn't look like I do. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to have to put in new options here. I'm just going to put them here, I suppose. Right, so we have 3, 3, 5, 4, 1, 3, 3. Branches or roots. I'm going to go up in the branches again because it has been indicated to me before that that is a safer place for you to sleep. That was a choice that was made without the reader making a choice. So, yeah. On your way up the tree, a branch breaks when you step on it and you fall to the ground. Roll 1 die. On 1 to 3, you were not high up and you fall only once you. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to. Yeah, okay. So I got 1 stamina point of injury just from falling off the tree. On 4 to 6, you were high enough up for the fall to be nasty. Reduce your stamina by 4 for a couple of cracked ribs. So you lose 4 stamina points by falling from a tree, which is the same as being injured by a sword-wielding denizen of evil twice. I'm not sure that's logical. No. Okay. You take this to be an omen and decide to sleep among the roots of the old fallen trees. Okay, so you end up sleeping at the roots anyway. Okay, so definitely not going to do that again. So I'm just going to put a red thing there. So that is stamina loss of some sort. 3, 3, 5. I'm going to back to the roots. For a while you sleep dreamlessly. Oh, joy. How do you know if you sleep dreamlessly? And how do you know it's a long time? Because if you don't dream, you don't have any sense of time passing. Just saying. But towards dawn, you start to dream. As if you have restless sleep, you would notice, I suppose. In your dream, you are crossing a vast, ice-bound plain. A bitter, merciless wind howls down from a mountain range ahead of you and cuts through your clothing as if you were naked. And your sight of the mountains is cut off by a blizzard. The snow, driven before the wind, stings your eyes and blurs your vision. The howling of the wind changes its tone and becomes both more definite and more sinister. A bulky form seems to be solidifying out of the falling snow. You will have to fight this snow ghost. It has a power score of 14. Roll 2 dice. If you roll 2 to 7, the snow ghost reduces your power score by 2 points. If you roll 8 to 12, you reduce its power score by 2 points. Continue this form of dream combat until either its or your power score is 0. The snow ghost tries to thump you with its fists, while in your dream you wield a club. If you defeat the snow ghost, turn to 262. If the snow ghost defeats you, turn to 137. Okay. Dream combat. Yeah. So we have 137, 262, win, defeat, and let's say so. Okay, so I've got 17. It has 14, and basically it is. And it's got the advantage because it hits me on 7, which means it has actually a third better odds than me now for injuring me. So I'm going to, yeah. 8. Okay, I got the first hit. 7. 12, 15. 8 again. Okay, I need to roll more 8s and above there. 7. Oh dear. 6. 10, 6, 10. Okay, so now it's 7, 7. See, if 7 had been a hit for me now, I would have won by now. 11, and finally perhaps 6, no. 8, yeah, okay, so I've got 3 power left there. Okay, so I won, and I go to 262. You wake up to find that the battle was just an illusion. Well, in the dream, innit? Restore your power score to what it was before the dream combat and add 1 point for your victory. Okay, that's pretty good then. So you actually gain power from winning a dream combat. So win plus 1 power. So that's all right then, isn't it? Turn to 372. Okay, so 372. You rest a while and then prepare to set off again. When the half-light of dawn has yielded to full daylight, and then prepare to set off again when the half-light of dawn has yielded to full daylight. But just as you are getting to your feet, the Weevil Man, in whose tree root home you spent the night, returns from his nighttime foraging. Weevil men are mutants, which are so misshapen as to resemble a cross between a beetle and a human. They have tough natural armor on their backs and tend to drop onto all fours to protect themselves. They were driven long ago from civilized society and banished to the hidden places of the world, such as deep in Affan Forest. Racism. As survivors in the hard world of Titan, they are far from cowardly fighters. This one drops his pack and hurls himself at you, wielding a hatchet. Every time you win an attack round, roll 1 extra die. If you roll 1 to 3, the Weevil Man has managed to take your blow on his armor and sustains only 1 point of stamina loss. Okay, so that is quite tough then. Okay, so I've got 11-13 at this point. I should actually use the potion. No, not the potion, but the provision soon. And he has 8, or was it 11? Okay, so I got 3 skill point advantage. He rolls 8, I roll 7. Okay, and then I roll a die, and it was how much? 1 to 3 is, yeah. Okay, so only takes 1 point of damage. 7, 11, 5, full damage, 5, 5, half damage, 8, 9, half damage, 12, 9, draw, 8, 10, full damage, 3, 8, half damage, 7, 10, full damage. So final, only got 1 stamina left, 5, 7, and then he is dead. I have to restart my camera. And also move my remote control out of shot there. Okay. Right. If you win, turn to 162. 162. You may notice I'm trying to avoid going to the second page of the map now, and that's because I'm thinking maybe I'm going to go back onto this path here, so I'm not sure yet. 162. Is there 162 here somewhere? I don't think so. No. 162. You look in the Weevil Man's pack to see if you can add to your store of provisions, but the crawling, maggoty contents make your stomach heave. You may take the hatchet, however, if you want to. You then resume your westward journey. So now I've got a hatchet. Might come in useful. The morning passes without much incident, but you notice how the further west you travel, the more cautious the forest wildlife becomes of any intrusion, even that of a wood elf, who is normally considered to be just another denizen of the forest. This gives you confidence that you are heading in the right direction. Turn to 383. Do we have a 383 anywhere on this map? We do have a 383. Okay. It's on the next page. So I'm going to, in that case, I'm going to move 162 up here on this second page of my map. And then I'm going to put in hatchet. 162, and then we go to 383. So that is over there on my map, because now I'm back where I was last time when I went west to start with. So I'm not sure if there's anything I got to first. It seems maybe going through the forest. So far, there's no... I mean, I did find on the other path, I found boar tusks. On this one, I found a hatchet. I still don't know if any of those things are going to be relevant. The boar tusks might be, but so far it looks more likely that going west to start with is going to be the best option in the beginning. So we'll see. In the late afternoon, you start to climb a range of hills, which are just as thickly wooded as any other part of Affan Forest. Add 1 luck point for getting this far through the forest. Okay. Back up to 8. The rock of the hills is exposed in places. Boulders litter the ground, and you pass quite a few small caves. You realize that it would not take much searching to find one large enough to spend the night in. Would you do this or not? So last time I did a cave, and that seemed all right. I sort of didn't I do some kind of shortcut through the cave as well? I'm going to not do a cave this time just to see what happens. Very often in these early episodes of playing a book, I will try to do different things rather than the same things, because certainly when there is no indication, which there isn't really for anything so far in the book, that I'm on the right path, and there could still be other options. Further on up the hill, you are set upon by 3 wolves. At first you see only their eyes, glowing like red-hot coals in the undergrowth. Then they spring out, snarling and prowl around you in an ever tighter circle, waiting for an opportunity to pounce. You draw Telessa, and you hope you have time to cast a spell as well. They are too close for you to use Protect effectively. You think you had better try Levitation or Fire. Alternatively, you may simply fight them without using a spell. Should I use a spell? I may as well use a spell. So I'm going to use Fire, I think. 273. Okay, so I'm going to go... it's going to tell me in the next one, isn't it? To reduce my power by 1. So 3 options. 1, 2, 3. So 103, 273, or 79. So that's Levitate, Fire, or just fight. 273. Okay. You realize that the wall of fire may only delay the battle. The wolves could just wait until the fire dies down. The wolves would be... And normal wolves... Well, first of all, they wouldn't even attack. Secondly, they would they would shy away from fire. Okay. And you cannot afford to go on and on making fire, so you decide to reduce the odds. You shoot a fireball at the strongest wolf. Okay, so that was just the thinking process. That's all right then. Deduct 1 power point. It runs away, badly burned, yelping, and with the charred remains of its tail between its legs. When the other two wolves have recovered from their surprise, they leap at you. By summoning up your innate nimbleness as a wood elf, you can fight them one at a time. Okay, so you're getting quite a bit of advantage in the battle, which probably would have been okay anyway, but that's all right. So that was actually quite a good choice in that case. So we're fighting a 7-6 and a 6-6. 1 at a time. So 7, 6, 6, 6. I've got 11, 13 still. I need to eat something. So the first one, I've got 4 skill point advantage. He rolls 11, I roll 9. He rolls 10, I roll 3. So he manages to bite me. And again, 5, 9, And finally, perhaps 6 and 10. He is dead. Second one, I got a 5 skill point advantage. He rolls a 4. That means I definitely hit him. He rolls a 7. Could be a draw, but it isn't. And lastly, he rolls a 4, which is automatic. Oh, which means I can't. One of my dice it fell behind my studio space over here, so I'll have to see if I can get that next time I need it. So I win, and let's see, where am I? 273. Win 314. Okay, so 314. Okay. You are weary after your fight. You must find a place to rest very soon, and the only option is to select a cave. Turn to 181. Okay, so this fight here is completely pointless. Why is going to a cave the only option? You're in the forest. You're used to sleeping in the trees. What is your trouble? Also, if you're only used to going half a day's march away from your home, why are you even sleeping in trees? Wouldn't you go back to your home then in the second half of the day? It doesn't. There's some things that don't really add up in this one, but in which case, I'm just going to do that as a wrong option is to choose not to find a cave. It's going to be the wrong option now. I'm just going to go get that die before I see if I can find it. It is down there. Okay. Right. Okay. 181. You soon find a suitable cave. You can see far enough in to tell that it is not occupied, at least not by anything visible. But there are also signs that it has been recently used. I'm getting a bit thirsty now. Excuse me. Must be all this crawling on the floor that does it. Signs that it has been recently used by some animal. Gnawed bones litter the ground, and there is a lingering but unfamiliar animal smell. Will you spend the night in this cave or look elsewhere? So, what happened if you tried to look elsewhere? Did I do that last time? Because there's a... Well, it seems that the only correct option now is to rest in the cave. So 357. You gather some logs and uproot several bushes to make a screen across the mouth of the cave. This won't fool the cave's occupant if it returns, but it will give you advance warning of its return, since it would make a noise while removing the screen. You do not sleep well, since you are constantly half expecting to hear the animal coming back, but it doesn't. Only one brief vision deepens your otherwise shallow sleep, but it is a dream of great and awesome beauty. You see yourself standing in the center of a ring formed by 6 pools, which you know instinctively are bottomless. 2 of the pools are filled with liquid fire, which continually changes shape and color and seems to form recognizable images, but they are gone before you can identify them, and a new image has taken the place of the other, forever lost. 2 of the pools are filled with water. In your dream, you look into one of these pools and know that the water is burning cold, though it does not freeze over. You see reflected in the pool of a dark, star-studded night sky, but these are not the familiar constellations which circle Titan. The last two pools, arranged opposite each other as the other pairs are too, are funnels for mighty winds. One pool is exhaling and the other inhaling, as if they were the breath of the world, and the strength of their blasts would either suck you into the fathomless depths or blow you into the heavens. Gain 2 power points and turn to 319. Okay, so that sounds like you're gaining power, so that's an indication, again, that it's a correct choice, isn't it? So I'm going to just do like that to indicate that that seems to be a definite correct choice to make. Power up to 19 again. 319. In the morning, when you wake up, you tear away the screen from the mouth of the cave. Dawn light floods in from the sun, which has risen just over the tops of the trees and the forest plain below. You can now see more of the cave than you could last night, and you realize that it goes deeper into the mountain than you had thought. Excuse me. At the back of the cave, screened by a boulder, a narrow tunnel winds away into darkness. It is so narrow that you would have to wriggle through, pushing your backpack and sword in front of you. You can feel no draft issuing from the tunnel, nor is there any other indication that it might lead anywhere. Will you explore the tunnel or continue up the hillside? Now, last time I explored the tunnel, and it seemed to be some kind of shortcut, possibly to going somewhere. There was this other lichen thing in the middle. Did I actually get any... I didn't get any tangible benefits, did I, from doing that? I don't seem to recall I did, actually. So it was interesting and all that stuff, but I'm going to go uphill this time just to see if something different happens that is exciting and, well, different. So, excuse me. The last stretches of the hill are hard going. The trees are thinner. Scree covers the slope and provides little or no soil for roots, and little or no safe footing for a traveler. The trees which line the ridge are bent into weird shapes, as if by a constant westerly wind. Eventually you arrive, panting, at the crest itself, and you lie down on the ground to survey the scene below you. The western slope of the range of hills descends fairly gently into a valley, where all seems to be peace and harmony. The trees there seem still to be clothed in spring green, but this fresh copse ends with shocking abruptness in terrain which is unlike anything you have seen before, awake or in your worst nightmares. You realize that you are looking out over the blighted part of the forest, which your dream revealed to you. It is considerably larger than you thought it would be. It stretches 4 kilometers. Turn to 386. So, 386. I'm going to do, that is the wrong color. I'm not dreaming right now. So 386 in black. Empathy knows no distance, and as a wood elf you can feel the pain of the suffering forest, even though you are still some way from it. What lies before your eyes is like a mockery of the trees, all right. No, mockery of the forest you know and love. There are trees, all right, although many areas have been devastated, as if by fire or by a horde of careless axe-wielding dwarfs. Yeah, of course, they always have to do the dwarven slurs, don't they? These elves. In contrast to the clarity of the air where you are and in the pleasant valley below, the cursed region in the distance is shrouded by a murky haze, which rolls and seethes with a chaotic life of its own. But your observations of the scene are cut short by a sudden harsh cry which rips the still air, silences the birds twittering in the trees above you, and sends a spurt of chill fear into your heart. You jump to your feet in alarm. Will you run and hide from whatever vast being may be the source of this sound, or stay where you are? Now, what happened last time? There was something similar happening, wasn't there? Oh, hang on. 386. I've been to 386 before, so... Okay, so 386 is actually exactly where you end up after going through the tunnel as well. There's still a chance that there is something beneficial in that tunnel, but I don't know yet. But the lichen, maybe. Anyway, 386. Okay, so last time, if you hide, that's a bad thing. So I'm going to stay where I am, 373. Getting very close now to where I was before. There is no sign of any living creature that might have uttered the unearthly cry you heard. While you watch from the hill, however, the swirling haze which covers the blighted forest suddenly leaps into greater motion, and even though you are far away, you are simultaneously struck by a furious blast of sorcerer's wind, which knocks you off your feet. Test your luck. Yes, I am lucky. Down to 7. If you're lucky, yeah. I wasn't lucky last time actually, so 175. My luck isn't that good, so. At the moment the wind struck, you were fortunately breathing out, so none of the evil blast entered your lungs. Turn to 57. Okay. You continue your journey on all fours. It is some time before you dare to pick yourself up and proceed as normal through the trees. You wonder whether the blast of wind was directed by some intelligent mind towards you in person, or whether it was the instinctive response of evil towards good. You realize that however hazardous your journey up to now has been, the dangers have at least been reasonably familiar. Once you reach the blighted land, however, you suspect that you will enter an uncharted region of unknown terrors. That reminds me I should actually eat a provision as well. Get my stamina back to 17, which is the maximum. Or should I? Hang on. Yeah, no, actually I shouldn't yet, because there's an opportunity for me to get some stamina back soon. So I'm going to use that probably. 2239, yeah. Before long, you are at the foot of the hills, and you enter the glade whose spring greenery you admired from above. There is no doubt in your mind that this is an enchanted place containing the power of good. The air is fresh and sweet. Small flowers dapple the sward, and the trees, mainly silver birches, are filled with trilling birds. You have no idea whose enchantment the place is under, but you can guess why it is there, as a bastion against the evil of the blasted lands beyond. You revel in the pleasant atmosphere as you stroll among the trees. It's sort of, well, it's not there to be a bastion against the evil, but I suppose its magic keeps it safe from the blight, I suppose, for longer, so it's able to withstand its effects. You revel in the pleasant atmosphere as you stroll among the trees. Soon you come to a fair-sized pool, which is fed by a bubbling brook. When you drink from the pool, bathe in it, or avoid any contact with it. Now, this is a beneficial pool. It gives you stuff. So, bathing in it is actually something that works. I'm just going to bathe in it again. Actually, I know what happens. So I'm just going to. Oh, 190. Did I? Hang on. Got the wrong number there. 239. 199. Yeah, it just looked like a 194 on my thing there now. And the 194 is something else entirely. So 199. There we are. The water is clear and refreshingly cool. It is nice to wash off the dust of your journey. You may add 2 luck and 2 stamina points. So this is where we get to 15 stamina and back up to full 9 luck. If you were infected by the spores of the itching powder plant, you may also restore the lost skill point. Now this is a bit, yeah, it would have been nice to be able to restore the skill point if you, but itching powder plant, so yes, it's a skill loss based on something that got in your body that washes off, so that makes sense that it's only that skill point that is regained, not any other skill point. Then you rest on the bank in the warm sun and drift off to sleep. Turn to 160, and this is where we are getting very close to the end, because that's the next sheet of map here. 160. Okay. In your dream, the fairy folk who tends this enchanted garden appear to you. They tell you that they are the secret children of Galana, goddess of plants and fertility. They dance and teach you many things about plants that even the wood elves do not know. Finally, they invite you to stay with them to combat evil by tending their garden of good. It is a sweet temptation, especially to a wood elf. Roll 1 die, so this is where I'm not going to roll a 6 this time. I rolled a 2. And I go to 31. So this time I'm not becoming a gardener for life. There you are. You harden your resolve and spurn the offer of the fairies. Your destiny lies in more direct action. You awaken. How do you know? I mean, the gods might have wanted you to become here and tend the garden as a bastion against evil blight. Well, you never know. You awaken from the dream and find that the glade has vanished. You are right on the border of the blighted land. All that is left of the enchanted glade is a single elder tree. So, if you'd stayed there, the glade would have remained. But maybe the glade would have been the only green, luscious, wholesome, healthy thing in the whole world after the blight had taken over the rest of the world. That's a kind of a horrible thought, isn't it? So there's the only thing left of the enchanted glade is a single elder tree. The tree is obviously magical. Well, obviously. Your attention is drawn to its branches in particular because of their regular arrangement. Notice that there are exactly 22 branches. Notice on your advantage. Okay, so we got a 22 branches elder. So that's something I'll need for later, I suppose. So we got 22 branches elder, and that is a clue. All but one are normal, leafy boughs, but the other is silver and gleams with its own inner light. You pluck it, stow it in your backpack, and take your first step into Istra's cruel kingdom. So, we've got a silver branch. Okay. Turn to 259. 259. After only a few steps in the corrupt forest, you know that something is wrong. It is not just a sense of evil, which you will get used to as you would to a bad smell, which is not noticed after a while. There is something more, something within yourself. You will find that from here on in your adventure, you are unable to cast any spells. One of Istra's defenses is to prevent any magic except his own being effective in his domain. You retain your power score, however, there may yet be some use for it. Yes, that's ominous. As you walk forward, the evil mist which you saw from the hillside seethes around you as if urging you to return. Lightning plays over to your right. A tall pine, throttled by ivy which is wriggling even now, looms in your path. From your survey from the hillside, you know that this blighted part of the forest is almost circular in shape, spreading out from a center which must be where the entrance lies to Ishtra's underground stronghold. All you have to do, that makes it sound so easy, isn't it? All you have to do is to follow the steady worsening of the blight and you will reach your goal. See, it's easy, isn't it? All you have to do to save the world is to go where the evil is the most evil, and then you sort it out. One obstacle at a time, however. Yes, you have reached one of the patches of bare ground where the trees have rotted away to nothingness. Will you cross the clearing or walk around it, keeping to the trees? It does seem safer to keep to the trees, unless the trees that are still alive have been corrupted and are evil and trying to stop me, grab me with their branches and make me stumble with their roots, that sort of thing. So we got two options. 158 cross or 191 round. So either option could actually be quite bad. I'm gonna cross the clearing, actually thinking that the corruption of the trees might actually be worse. 158. The ground in the clearing is surprisingly firm underfoot, but you soon discover the reason why. Much of the slime of the rotting trees has been gathered by a slime monster to itself. This monster now rises from the ground, and you will have to fight it to cross the clearing. It resembles a massive, loathsome earthworm, but one equipped with vicious teeth. So it's made of slime, it looks like a worm, and it has teeth. How do you make teeth out of slime these days? 7, 13. Okay. So 7, 13. I have got. Oh, hang on. I forgot I had 9 stamina earlier. So now I've gone. Okay, so I've got 11 stamina. I was thinking I had 13 stamina when I was thinking of eating a provision, but I only had 9 because I'd forgotten to transfer the last battle to my main character sheet bit. So this is a bit precarious, but I got 11. It's got 7, 13, so I got 4 skill point advantage. I'm sure I'm going to be fine. Famous last words. Okay. 5, 8. Yep. Good start. 4, 7, 9, 5. Draw. 12. 3. Definitely not a draw. 12. 7. Yes, famous last words indeed. 8, 10, yeah. 8, 6. But you do know, of course, that at some point I'm going to have to ignore the stamina bait and all that nonsense because it's not really part of the game as far as I'm concerned. That's just rolling dice. Dice rolling is... oh, hang on. What am I doing now? 9, 7, 5, 3, 1. Yes. And of course, if you want to just do a dice rolling game, you don't have to get a game book, do you? The fun of a game book is all the other stuff you can do with it. So 7, 7. And I'm going to eat some provisions now. I'm going to eat 2 provisions down to, so I'm going to go 7 plus 8, so I'm going to have 15 stamina left afterwards. Okay, the thing is, the fun of a game book obviously is not rolling the dice, because if you like rolling dice, then yeah, you can play other games. The thing is, if you go back to the same place and you roll the same battle and you roll it over again, you get different things happening. So at some point you will win it if you just keep going over and over. Okay. Which makes it pointless in a way, because that is not the essence of a game book. Right. If you win, turn to 6. Now I think it makes more sense in a using dice and randomness. It makes a lot more sense in a multiplayer game because you're trying to see who's the luckiest as well. But if you're doing a solo adventure game, a game that you're only playing against yourself, unless dice rolling is what you really enjoy doing, then it makes sense to ignore the dice as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we are. You continue through the cursed forest. The leaves are brown. All the leaves are brown. And the sky is grey, etc. Half forest dreaming. And swollen beyond the normal size. There is a constant dripping of vile liquid from the leaves onto the soggy ground. Late in the afternoon, also you guess it to be, but the sun is usually invisible beyond the seething brown mist. You come across a definite trail tending to your left. You dread to think what manner of creatures may have made a trail in this doomed place. Will you follow the trail or continue through the trackless trees? I'm going to follow the trail because I have a death wish, also known as curiosity. Okay, so I don't know if you can hear this, but somebody is cutting grass very close to, I think it's just across the fence of our garden here, which is the common area of the neighborhood. Grass has really been growing lately because we've had a bit of rain, and then it's been a lot of sunlight and warm, and then it's a bit of rain again, so I've had to cut the grass a lot more than usual. And also we got a new lawn last year, so the grass is quite lush and thick and grows very well, I must say. Trail 69 or 3, 2, 1 trees. So I'm going to go the trail, go to 69, see what there is there that can kill me. There must be something, surely. You walk wearily, no, not wearily, well, possibly wearily as well, but warily along the trail. To your relief, nothing pounces out at you from the woodland on either side, and there appear to be no traps. The trail, why would it need to put traps anyway? I mean, you're in a blighted land. You wouldn't expect anyone to come that way. You don't expect there to be people walking out of it to corrupt more lands, wouldn't you? The trail leads straight to a fenced-off area. Inside the fence, the trees have been cleared, but great holly bushes have been allowed to spring up. The hollies are so dense that you cannot see whether or not there is anything else apart from them here. The spot has obviously been created by an intelligent mind, but for what purpose? To grow holly, obviously. For all you know, it could be a nursery for poisonous holly bushes. Will you go into the fenced-off area? Maybe it's just in the Christmas business, growing holly for Christmas decorations and such. Will you go into the fenced-off area or avoid it? In for a penny, in for a pound. I'm going to check out what's going on with the holly. 1, 2, 2, 3, 2, 1. Go in. Avoid. Oh, hang on. That's the same as the other paragraph. I don't need a new one for that. 1, 2, 2. The holly bushes are very prickly, stating the obvious, and may well be poisonous. But you find that there is enough space. Well, you don't really get poisoned by getting pricked on holly. It's poisonous, it's eating them, isn't it? But you find that there is enough space between the lowest branches and the ground for you to hope to crawl through. You would have to be lucky to make it unscathed, however. If you want to make the attempt, turn to 277. Holly isn't that hard to get through. I mean, I've tried. Right, so you are given the option of turning back yet again, or you can make it. Well, I'm going to keep going now because I'm sort of invested a little bit of energy into this now. Sunken cost fallacy. You start to wriggle through, pressing yourself into the ground. Your backpack tends to snag on the branches, but you leave it on your back as protection. Test your luck. Yep, lucky. Let's see, 7. How am I focused now? That should be okay. No, not 7. 8, thank you very much. It doesn't go down by 1, does it? No, it doesn't go down by 2. Turn to 206. Okay, so 206. 206. The holly bushes, you find, form a protective perimeter and come to an end before long. To your astonishment, you see within the circle of bushes a ramshackle hut. There is no sign of life. Famous last words again. Will you go up to the hut or lie for a while where you are under the hollies and watch? Now that seems like a sensible choice. I'm probably going to 47, 378, hut, watch. I'm going to watch, see if there's anything to see. The cracking of a twig to your right warns you that someone or something is approaching. Before you can react, a heavy foot presses down on your neck and immobilizes you. A gruff voice commands you to reach slowly for your sword and throw it away from you. Will you do as he says or resist? resistance is very often, as they say, futile. And so in this case, I believe I will do as he says. I think maybe this guy might be someone who's... I have a sort of a good feeling about this. He might be someone who can help me. Also famous last words there. Okay, so... 375 or 125 resists or comply. So I'm going to comply 375. With a pang of regret, you slide Telessa out of its sheath and toss it onto the damp grass in front of you. You wonder what will happen next, but remind yourself that where there's life, there's hope. The foot is lifted off your neck and the voice tells you to go up, you to get up. When you do so, you see a strange sight. Before you stands a stocky human leaning on the haft of a brilliantly polished two-handed axe. What is strange is the contrast between the care with which the axe has been maintained and the man's wild and unkempt appearance. His clothes are little more than rags, his long hair and beard are matted, and his bare arms are ingrained with years of dirt. Suddenly he bursts into a cracked cackle of glee, and you realize that he is completely insane. You will have to tread carefully. You tell him that you mean him no harm. Do you do this to put him off his guard so that you can try to seize Telessa and fight, or will you bide your time? I don't want to fight this guy. I think he's still some I don't know. So I'm wondering if this can be useful to me in some fashion. Okay, so 3, 2, 7, fight, or 3, or 1. Wait. So I'm going to bide my time and go to 301. The wild man makes a mocking bow, extends an arm towards his dilapidated hut, and invites you in. On the way, he scoops up your sword. Once you are inside, he sweeps the bench clear of utensils and mouldy bread and tells you to sit there. He draws up a chair opposite you. Once you have stopped sneezing from the dust you raise by sitting on the bench, you introduce yourself. I am Eldinorim of the Galordan tribe of wood elves of Afan Forest. If your power score is 17 or over, turn to 152. It is 17, yes. Otherwise, turn to 324. Is it 17? Yeah, it's a bit of a squiggle there. It's hard to tell, but... Did it go up to 19 again? Wasn't the last thing that happened to my power score was that Yes, it's 19 again, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. Okay, it's more than 17 anyway, regardless. So we have 1, 5, 2, or 3, 2, 4. So that is power 17 plus or power 16 minus 152. You realize that the man is a dangerous lunatic, driven to insanity by the evil surrounding him in the forest. But something in the power of your voice and your presence pierces the veil of madness in his mind and fans the spark of humanity deep inside him. You see a shift in his eyes, as if he were now looking at reality, not at some crazy image of it. He wordlessly returns your sword to you, then goes and fumbles in the corner of the hut. When he comes back, he offers you... Excuse me. Then goes and fumbles in the corner of the hut. He wordlessly returns your sword to you, then goes and fumbles in the corner of the hut. When he comes back, he offers you his most prized possession, a small piece of amber. Trapped inside the amber is a female glowworm whose phosphorescent light is still shining, despite the millennia it must have spent in the fossil resin. You gravely accept the gift before putting it in your backpack. You inspect the amber cube and see that it has the number 20 engraved in fine spidery runes on one of its faces. Interesting. And of course, surely this can't be an essential item because, I mean, you can't presume anyone would have a power score of 17 or above at this point of the game. I suppose you might be able to get this by killing him, but that's a good point, actually. You might get it by killing him. So this is just a peaceful way of getting to it, which is only accessible if you have a power of 17, but you might otherwise be able to get it, which means the item probably is essential. Okay, so I've got a piece of amber, and so that's number 20. I'm just going to put that here. So that's amber 20. Number 20. The wild man next invites you to spend the night in his humble abode. Will you accept or not? If you accept, turn to 86. If you do not, you bid him a cautious farewell and make your way safely back through the hollies. Turn to 321. So that is down there. Or you can spend the night. 86. It's probably going to be back to mad again, isn't it? If you spend the night. I'm going to spend the night. You feel perfectly safe in the hut now. You lie down on the floor, cover yourself with some sackcloth and fall asleep. But even though you are in an oasis within the blighted, the floor, wouldn't that be really dirty? I mean, you might as well sleep outside. Anyway, even though you are in an oasis within the blighted forest, your dreams are troubled. You seem to see a vast serpent coiled around the forest and squeezing. As the forest contracts, it turns into a mocking face, whose mouth is Ishtra's pit, and whose laughter becomes a chilling shriek you heard from the hillside. You wake up to find that the scream was your own, but you soon return to your dreams. You are walking through the forest and a tree blocks your path. You step aside, but it is still in front of you, though you did not see it move. Wherever you go, the same thing happens until you realize that you will have to fight it. Immediately, its branches try to throttle you, and you can feel yourself suffocating. The tree has a power score of 16. Okay, that's quite a powerful tree. So, power 16. Okay. So I've got, I'll just go with 19. 19, 16. Okay, and that it still wins on a 7. So that seems to be the going rate, though, that you still have a little bit disadvantage, which is a bit weird because it's your own dream and really you should have the advantage, shouldn't you? So, anyway, 6. So that means it hits me. 5, 7. This is not going well. 4, 4. Down to 6. 4 again. The tree is really giving me a hard time, isn't it? Okay. Well, I'm doing the wrong numbers now. I swapped them around. 12. So I'm supposed to have 7 left, and he is supposed to have 14 left. And I'm now supposed to have 5 left. 3, 1, and that's me. I lost the combat, but that's all right, I suppose, because this is a dream battle and it is not deadly, just slightly scary and potentially debilitating. We'll see. So 23 and 287, win, lose. So I lost that and go to 287. It is now morning and you wake from your nightmare in the wild man's hut. Your body is aching and sore as if the fight had been real, and your neck is bruised where the tree throttled you. Restore your power score to 1 point less than it was before. So that's 18. And deduct 2 stamina points. So stamina down to 13. If the wild man is still alive, turn to 215. Otherwise, you crawl back through the hollies and continue on your way. Turn to 116. So we have, and presumably that will be the same regardless of whether I win or lose. So I'm just put them up there on my map. And I should also just make that a dream, like so. Okay. So 116 alive. No, hang on, that's not right. 215 is alive. So this is 215 alive or not. So 215. The wild man looks older than he did last night, as though with the departure of his madness he has lost some of the will to live. He introduces himself as Eric Runeaxe. In a cracked voice, he recalls more pleasant days in the forest before the coming of the terror. It turns out that he was once an adventurer like yourself. Well, technically, you're not an adventurer at all. I mean, apart from this one adventure. And you are in the middle of your first adventure. Does that make you an adventurer? Not really. You're just trying to defend your elven village. You're not an adventurer. Thank you very much. In the land far away over the seas, but he got lost in something called the Maze of Zagor and gave up his adventuring ways. Well, that can really crack the hardiest adventuring soul, can't it? He travelled here to retire, as he thought, but now you have rekindled some of his old spirit, and he wants to come with you. Will you accept his company or gently but firmly refuse and continue on your way alone? So I'm going to accept because I think this guy is going to be of some help in what comes next. So, accept. 180. As you walk together through the groves of oaks and beeches, whose former glory has given way to the abomination of brown, swollen leaves, or to death, you ask Eric if he knows anything about Istra's underground stronghold. His conversation is still irrational at times and is punctuated by rambling tales or irrelevant laughter, but you do glean one important piece of information. An orc told him, when tortured, that Istra had appointed a lieutenant. This monster is Morpheus, a vast mass of slime who is the source of all nightmares. He can affect the real world only indirectly, by means of nightmares, and he is visible only in the dream world. He surrounds Istra with a cloak of impenetrable darkness unless he can be defeated, but he cannot be approached except in a dream, and must be weakened, not killed, to gain access to Istra, since if a dreamer were to kill the source of his dream, he would greatly endanger himself. Gain 2 luck points for this vital information. Okay, so that is interesting. So we've got some hints here. So hint, Morpheus, and +2 luck. So my luck is now up to full 9 again. And turn to 89. Okay. You pass another of the clearings which afflict the forest like open sores. To your astonishment, there is a perfectly ordinary, peaceful deer grazing in the middle of the clearing. The sight is like a breath of fresh air in a sewer. That's a bizarre kind of simile because you're an elf living in a forest. You wouldn't even have a concept of what a sewer is. Will you investigate this remarkable phenomenon or not? I'm going to investigate because I'm curious and I want to find out what's going on. So 240 or 146. Investigate or not. What is even more surprising is that when you approach the deer, it does not run away. It merely looks up at you and continues munching. But all too soon you realize that this is not surprising at all. The deer is actually a shape changer. As is the way with its kind, when you are within range, its greed gets the better of it and it is revealed in its true hideous form. What you thought was the placid munching of the deer turns out to be the monster's forked tongue licking its lips in anticipation. The shape-changer hurls itself at you. Its wicked claws are poised to rake your flesh. If you have a companion, turn to 396, otherwise turn to 307. So this is it's going to be sort of a parallel thing going on here every now and again, which is a nice way of doing it. So we have 307 or 396. So Eric, I'll just put Eric there, or not. So 396. Eric Runax has skill 8, stamina 12. Skill 8. Well. The two of you can fight the shape changer together. The savagery of its attack will prevent you both approaching it each attack round, but you can fight it in alternate rounds. Okay. So we have 10 versus 11. What's my stamina? 13. And 8, 12. Okay, so I've got a 3. No, I've got a 1 skill point advantage. I'm attacking it first. Yeah. He rolls 9, I roll 5, so he hits me. I'm down to 8. Then it's versus Eric, and he hits Eric. He goes down to 10. Me again, 11. Oh dear. Yeah, well, dear. Yeah, that was not on purpose, but there you go. Eric, 10, 7. He's going to kill both of us, isn't he? At this rate, 7, 6, draw. 11, 8. Eric down to 6. Both down to 6. 3, 11. Finally, I hit the shape changer. 7, 4. Eric down to 4. 8, 8. He's down to 9. Eric, 9, 6, down to 2. 12, 7. I'm down to 4. 7, 7. Eric is dead. 10, 5. I'm down to 2. Should use luck now. So I roll 9, which means I actually... yeah, my luck was max again, so that means I only go down to 3. He rolls 5, I roll 10. He's down to 7. He rolls 12. I roll 7. I'm down to 1. He rolls 4. I roll 7. He's down to 5. I'm going to use luck again. 9. No. So he's down to 6. He rolls 7. I roll 9. He's down to 4. He rolls 9. I roll 6. And I am dead. Now, I've been playing so long today that I think that is fair and square that I should die at this point. So, yeah. But, yeah, I think I'm just gonna stop there. So, Eric died, of course, and I died. Both of us died. But this is quite an interesting. I've got to see some new bits today, so I think I'll be. Yeah, I think it's a good place to stop. Don't you think? I've been. How long have I been recording this now? Do I have the time anywhere? Yes, 2 hours I've been recording, so that should do, shouldn't it? Okay. Right, there we are. Did you enjoy that playing session? I certainly did. Still enjoying this book immensely. Now, I still don't know what the absolute correct way through this book is. There certainly are a few bits that, but there's very few of them yet that seem to be definite things that I need to get to. I would guess that the items with the numbers are the ones that I definitely need to get to in order to win this game. So there's been two things really. There's been the amber with the number 20, and then there was the number 2, the branches of the elder tree, and of course the silver branch. And at the moment, those two items seem to be the only essential ones. The rest of the path for getting there might just be about getting the least injury or maintaining the most luck points. It's hard to tell for sure. It certainly doesn't seem to be many things going on before you get to those things that are essential items that you will, or essential events that you will need to succeed in this game. So it is relatively linear with a few branches so far, it seems to me, but I'm quite, the structure is all right. The writing is great, and I'm quite enjoying this. So I'll be looking forward to trying this again next time. I'm not sure when next time will be, by the way. Hopefully it won't be as long as you had to wait for this episode, but it might be a few weeks. I do apologize in advance, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please like, share, comment, subscribe, join me on Patreon, all those things that people do on YouTube, and I will see you in the next one. So have a nice time until then.